It is currently 2019 as I record this video in the very middle of E3, and I think that this is one for the record books. It's probably going to be remembered as by far one of the worst electronic entertainment expos ever. This has been so bad, but Ubisoft might take the cake as the biggest dumpster fire since they released not only just very little news about cool upcoming games, they spent nearly their entire conference talking about cell phone games, TV shows, movies, and a subscription service that'll cost you $300 a year to play their games. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and I want to start off by talking about the UPlay Plus, because this is by far, in my opinion, the absolute stupidest thing that I've ever seen at E3 in my life. And I've watched pretty much every single one since fast internet existed. So the idea behind this is essentially their own version of Game Pass. You'll be paying $15 a month to have access to over 100 different games. Things like Child of Light, things like Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six Siege. Anything that's been produced or directly made by Ubisoft is on their service. Now, Netflix-style subscriptions, I'm not a huge fan of, but at least they work. It's a good deal, and it's certainly a good entry point for people who maybe have a lot less cash, but want to be able to game a ton for their buck. But there's an extra part of this that is ridiculous. So you're going to be paying $15 a month to play it, right? Well, there's a second part which you have to keep in mind, which is that this is going to be on Google Stadia. Aren't you super excited? Oh wait, there's a bad side of that. Google Stadia, if you want the best version of it, also costs you $10 a month. That means if we're just taking it at direct face value with no taxes and just American currency, you're paying roughly $25 every single month for UPlay Plus and Stadia access at its highest streaming capabilities. Which means that if you want access to every single Ubisoft game right at launch in the best way streamed directly to your cell phones and TVs, you're going to be paying $300 every year. Are you sick of streaming services yet? Because I'm getting there, and we don't even have them yet. This is ridiculous. Now let's fast forward to some of the other stuff we're supposed to get excited about. Hey, they're doing a big old TV show. Isn't that great? They got the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's going to be a quirky little adventure about people trying to make a big expansion for their game. This is a TV show about a game that looks more fun than most of the games they actually showed. Ubisoft, what are you doing? This is the Electronic Entertainment Expo. You have the most hardcore gamers laser focused on your every move. This could have been an opportunity to actually wow us and show us that what you're working on is epic. This could have been your chance to show us maybe a sneak peek at the next generation. You know, a lot of people got mad at them when they revealed Watch Dogs and it was basically an impossibly good looking game, but at this point I would have been more excited by a tech demo than the stuff they actually brought on stage, because all they really talked about was Division 2's getting DLC, huzzah! For Honor is getting DLC, huzzah! Everything is getting DLC. Just Dance is back, yay! But what's the new stuff? In my opinion, there was only one truly spectacular thing in this entire conference, and it was Watch Dogs 3, which is now going to be called Watch Dog Legion. So the main thing about this that gives it such a flair of flavor is that Watch Dogs 3 is not going to have a main character. This is still going to be a massive open world adventure like everything else Ubisoft makes, but the big twist here is instead of just having one person who's walking along, interacting with characters, leveling up, and getting new hacks, instead you're playing as essentially everybody. When you're DedSec, you can recruit new members. Walking around the street, you can have a chance to actually meet people and sort of get them to join the resistance. You can talk to them and be like, hey man, aren't you sick of all these evil cops? And eventually they'll get swayed over to your side. And when your character dies in some sort of unfortunate accident, you switch to the next character. Now, just looking at it, they have done some stuff that's great. We saw a guy who's really good at taking out drones. Somebody who's a really good bare-knuckle brawler, so you could possibly take them on a mission that requires more up-close and personal unarmed approaches. Or one of the main people that everybody was laughing at, myself included, was an old lady who is an ex-assassin. She was probably like a top assassin for like 50 years, and now she's walking around with a pistol in her purse and ready to hack everything she can with spiders. Robotic spiders that jump on people's faces and fry their brains. Watch Dogs 3 looks super, super good, and it's actually a huge departure from Watch Dogs 2 because I played a ton of hours of that, and one of the things about it that was really interesting at the time was the fact that it was very much trying to emphasize non-lethal combat, beating people up in a way that was just going to be basically knocking them out but not harming them, and then they decided to change gears, bring the game to London, and just completely murder everybody. That is great. This was nice. But the rest of the conference was just so freaking lackluster and flat. No amount of musical numbers and little silly celebrities coming out on stage can get me excited for stuff. Now let me talk about the cell phone game, because yes, once again, I guess this is the year of the mobile platform. This project is going to be called Elite Squad, and apparently it's going to be sort of like a tactical shooter, maybe turn-based, but it's all on your mobile device. It's just another cell phone game, and what kind of annoys me the most is that I think that the art style is interesting, and it could have potential, but I guarantee you it's going to be very pay-to-win, and additionally, it's probably going to be a very flat game. You're probably going to barely interact with it, but it does have Sam Fisher in it. Yes, Mr. Splinter Cell himself is going to be in this game. So does that mean we're going to be getting a new Splinter Cell at some point, or is this it? Is this why we saw people talking a lot about the Splinter Cell trademark? Was it just because they're making a Splinter Cell cell phone game? Because in my opinion, you might as well have just left Sam Fisher in the closet if this is the most you're going to do with him. This was such a pathetic conference. So during all these, what I normally do is I take a bunch of notes during it, and so much of this was just me kind of going, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? One of the things I wanted to be very, very hyped for was Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which, because some of the other stuff we saw about it looks super, super interesting. I really like the idea of guerrilla combat and trying to sneak around and take over overwhelming force, but they didn't give us any gameplay. They showed us like a singular cutscene, which was just a speech from the bad guy talking about what you need to survive on the battlefield. You need to be hungry. Now that's cool. I really like that actor. He's really good. I appreciate the fact that he's in this, but I want to see how it works. Some of the things that the developers were mentioning in previous interviews is that we'll have to actually maintain our guns and fix stuff and do repairs out in the field, or maybe even physically clean your different meals before you eat them. I mean, that kind of stuff is so different, and it could end up making a multiplayer experience that sort of feels like, I don't know, something like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. But instead, they just decided to show us a really polished cutscene and a little bit more details about the plot. We just don't know. They also decided to tease us with the fact that we're getting a new game in the Rainbow Six series of, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and Rainbow Six Quarantine looks like it's gonna have some sort of maybe cybernetic zombies or something. We really don't know because it was just, again, like a 90-second cool teaser. These movies that they're showing us are interesting, but show us the freaking gameplay. Even 15 seconds of gameplay, in my opinion, is worth more than 10 minutes of cutscene. Show me how it plays. Show me what I'm going to be doing. Show me what the interface looks like so I have an idea of what I'm getting into if I choose to buy this, or if I choose to get the Ubisoft Plus subscription. How can this be such a long year of incredibly stretched out conferences that don't actually have any substantive content? Thanks so much for watching, gamers. I guess I'm gonna go edit this video because, oh my god, this was awful. Square Enix is up next. I'm gonna go watch that, and hopefully it is much, much better, because at least they have the Avengers. Please don't screw up the Avengers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming.
Hey folks, this is Doug Money. I managed to steal the camera for a second. Don't let DreamcastGuy's negativity fool you. This is actually one of the best E3s of all time because we got more DLC, more microtransactions, and more cell phone games that are here to milk my fan base. Because I'm Doug Money, I just want to make sure I get every single drop of that cash. And now, basically, E3 is just becoming a piggy bank for me to raid. Remember, kids, if you complain too much about hating this stuff, I'll add even more of it. Because because I'm Doug Money, and deep down, I just want to make sure that you're buying and buying and buying and buying and buying. Also, I suddenly love Ubisoft now. Boop!
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.